All right, good morning, everybody. Welcome to our Empower Hour. This is take two. So, for those of you that know, you know. All right. So, anyways, welcome to our continuing series on building value. Well, that ended. Now we're on sales strategies, right? So today, sales strategy is utilizing 100% of your license and what that entails. So I'm going to go ahead and hopefully share my screen. As y'all know, it seems I'm a little technically challenged. But we are going to go ahead and there we go. All right. So right here, we are successfully sharing the screen. All right, here we go. All right. So sales strategies using 100% of your license and what that entails. We were talking about it earlier. And one of the things, the statement that I like is by educating ourselves about the client's needs, we then open the door to utilize 100% of our life insurance license to provide them with the best solution, right? And that kind of dovetails with what we've been talking about. Building value in the products that we offer, building value in ourselves when we're asking the right questions. We're just not going for the simple sale of a final expense or mortgage protection. We're breaking it down by finding out what the client's needs are. Where's the pain, right? You find the pain, we can build a solution. And so this is going to be based on the 4 quadrants of our business: final expense, mortgage protection, index universal life, IULs, and annuities. Now, quadrant 1, for the new agent, this is where we all start. This is where we cut our teeth on simplified issue whole life products. Like I said, it's best for the new agent because there's an abundance of inexpensive leads, man. You can get leads for 75 cents, whatever. You can go up, run them on up. I mean, life leads $15. And I like it because you get paid quickly, right? You sell a policy, get it issued, you're paid within typically 48 hours, right? So this is quadrant 1, and this is where we all start. Now, quadrant 2 is mortgage protection, typically term products. It's the next level for most agents. It's the next logical step. There are an abundance of leads or slightly higher to a much higher cost, right? With the ILC, we have so many mortgage protection leads that are available. It's not even funny. Not only on life, but on internet, through social media. Just an abundance of leads, and they're not a high cost. I mean, the days of $78, $90 mail drops, those are days of old, man. I'm getting rid of the majority of mine. But it's just not profitable. There's other ways that we can go ahead and get these leads at a much lower cost, and they're still high quality. And we still get paid quickly because these, again, are going to be simplified issue. So we sell a policy, we get them approved, and within, typically 48 hours, we're going to be paid. I like that a lot. And quadrant 3, next level, IULs. Now, this is a product that, underwriting typically mirrors the term. It does require a higher skill set with product knowledge. We have to educate ourselves. We have to know the basics. And this is why I think a lot of people will shy away from it. And I don't want anybody to like head fake themselves because, these products are really geared towards retirement with a life insurance component to it. So when done properly, these products, let me see here. How can I say this? Like a $50 a month IUL policy is not going to help anybody out. The policy is going to run out. and it's not going to last them. You know, yeah, I don't care how old they are. You know, they can be in their 20s. If it's a $50 IUL a month, it's only going to last but so long, and then it's going to cannibalize itself. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, we need to go ahead and increase our product knowledge on it. And we've got some resources we're going to talk about here in a little bit. But they're not like, I don't want anybody banging their chest and saying, "Woohoo, I sold an IUL, hot dang," right? I'm glad you did, but we need to go ahead and educate ourselves on these products and how they work, right? Because we want to make sure that they're best for the client. Okay. And these are for retirement, right? For the most part. Now, we still have an abundance of leads. They are higher to much higher lead cost. However, for an index universal life policy, just like a mortgage protection policy, you get what you pay for, right? The higher the cost, like we don't have to, just because a lead's $100 doesn't mean that you're going to go ahead and sell that policy. No, you're still going to have people that, and it hurts because when you have a higher cost lead and you get somebody that says, "Hey, I already took care of that. Sorry," that hurts, right? Doesn't mean that you're automatically going to sell that client. But what it does mean is that you have a higher intent client. Does that make sense? Now, how you get paid on these is going to take a little bit longer. Right. It's not, with Ethos now, we get paid pretty quickly on these IULs with Ethos. They are simplified issue. So typically I'm getting paid on those within 3 to 5 days, but typically it's a week to 2 weeks that we're going to go ahead and get paid on these. And then quadrant 4, the one that most people will shy away from, okay, is annuities. Now, I want to be very clear on this. These are simple products. They're not advanced. Simple does not mean easy, okay? But they are simple, straightforward products. Now, and the only thing that you have to do to get started is ask the golden or silver question to start. We'll get into that here in a little bit. Now, there's an abundance of training on these annuities. There's no lead cost. Every single one of my annuities that I've ever sold, I've never paid a single penny for that lead because it's always an addition. I'm finding these with my current clients just by asking the golden and silver question. So there's no lead cost involved. However, there are lead companies out there, but for the majority of them, they haven't panned out. I've tried them. It didn't pan out for me. I didn't see the need for extended, increasing my cost on that. And like this definitely increases your ROI. I have never not had an annuity deposit hit my account and it not be a good time for it to hit my account. It's like there's been times when I've received these deposits and it's literally saved my business. Literally, especially earlier on in my business, right? Now, we're going to kind of get into this in a little bit, but here's some fun facts, right? We're kind of breezing through this, but my business over the past 5 years, let's break this down. All right, I started January 14th is when I walked away from the car business, right? The infamous day of walking away and my wife being pissed off at me for not talking to me for 10 days because I walked away from the car lot. And that first year, I was like, all right, let's give it all we got. I issue paid $177,000 that year. 100% of that business was from quadrant 1, final expense. I was trying to figure it out. I was, for whatever reason, mortgage protection just seemed to like befuddle me a little bit. It made me nervous. I don't know why. But I started to train more on it towards the end of the year. on mortgage protection and annuities. I'm like, I'm missing the boat here. I need to go ahead and open up my market. I need to expand my skill set, right? So I started going into mortgage protection and annuities, right? I started learning a little bit about index universal life policies as well. And I started selling them, but I wasn't selling them properly, like I mentioned before, right? As far as making sure that they're putting the client in the best position. So in year number 2 in 2020, actually, my first annuity was inked in 2019, but it was in December, so it didn't issue until 2020, right? So that got me going in 2020 with annuities. Now let's break that down. In 2020, we had several things happen, right? First of which, we had the pandemic, right? COVID came about. And man, people were nervous, dude. People were nervous. They were worried about their retirement. They were worried about all kinds of stuff, worried about their jobs. So let's take a look at the breakdown on that. I switched things up. I was like, all right, I'm going to go more into mortgage protection. So I backed off my lead flow to 80% on final expense and increased mortgage protection to 20. I stayed with what I was good at. Okay. Final expense, expanded my knowledge with mortgage protection. So I started getting outside my comfort zone and invested more into mortgage protection. So I barely missed Hall of Fame that year, 386,000 issue paid. Now let's take a look to the right of that. 275,000 was life. So I increased my life business by almost $100,000 over the previous year. Not bad. But I did do 1.1 million in annuities. Now, who thinks, and because I can't see everybody, who thinks that I was more profitable that year?
I do, but I'm not quite sure because I don't know how annuities work.
Okay, that's fine. Well, and that's where we get into the education of everything, Monica, how they work, right? But the good thing is you don't have to understand how they work, right? I got help on my first annuities, right? So, but it didn't cost me any more money to get those annuities because I didn't incur any lead cost on that. So whatever commissions I made on the annuities definitely helped me become more profitable than the previous year. Not only did I sell more life, but now I increased my return on investment from those leads for the life business from annuities because I found that on my existing appointments, right? So I was extremely happy with that. And it enlightened me on how using all of my license can help me, right? So I really started to get a little bit more aggressive the following year, a lot more aggressive with mortgage protection. As a matter of fact, that year I issued 479,000 and I switched it up to 70% mortgage protection and I lowered so that was a big increase. I increased my mortgage protection by 50% on leads. So I shifted all my money around, 70% mortgage protection, 30% final expense. Now I hit Hall of Fame just in my life business. I didn't issue as many annuities. I took my eye off the ball on that one, right? I was like, oh, I'm going to find these annuities. It's not a big deal. I just did 1.1. Right, but I took my eye off of it. As a matter of fact, that $777,000 in annuities did not issue until December 31st of January 2021. The last day of the year it hit. I was like, man, I already hit Hall of Fame, dude. I already hit Hall of Fame. Couldn't you just issue it on January 1 and get me off to a good start for the next year? Right? But it didn't pan out like that. Because then the next year I would have really done well. I would have hit over 600,000. right? But that's not playing fair. And so, anyways, a little bit by switching over my lead flow, I increased my life business. Look at that. That's $126,000 more in life business just by switching around from mortgage protection to final expense, right? And even though I backed off on annuities, it was still, I would say that between the two with chargebacks and things like that, because we got the chargebacks on the final expense, and really you don't have any chargebacks on annuities. I've never had a single client back out of an annuity. It's very difficult to do, number one. And then, but if you do have a chargeback, someone's going to have to die within that first year. Right. So if somebody's kind of unhealthy, you might want to go ahead and hold on to that commission if there's a big one, because you want to make sure you get through that first year. Don't go spending all that money because you think a $3,000 life chargeback is hard. Wait until you get hit with a $10,000, $15,000 chargeback on an annuity. That would hurt. Right. So I was happy with 2021's performance. Right. We crushed it. Now let's take a fast forward to 2022. Like last year, 529,000. I had a downtick in life. I didn't, I had 379,000, but I did increase my mortgage protection to 80% and 20% final expense. Right. So I was like, that's strange, but I did get more annuities. I found more annuities that year. Almost 1.5 million last year in annuities. So that really bumped me up to, over $500,000 for that year issue paid. And so I was like, well, let's go ahead and increase mortgage protection even more for 2023 and lower final expense, right? Well, the numbers really haven't worked out so well for me this year, right? So far, this is year to date, right? So year to date, I've issued paid 428,000. 363. So I haven't hit Hall of Fame because they moved the goalposts, right? So I've got 363,000 in life with 5 more weeks left to go, something like that, to hit Hall of Fame. But of that 363, 90% is mortgage protection and only 10% is final expense. And I ran the number, week to week, right? And week to week from this year to last year, I do have, I have increased my life business from the previous year. Not much, but my annuities have gone down to 652,000. Now I attribute that, if we look down, I got 2 asterisks right there, right? So that annuity volume, 100% of that is over the phone. I've done annuities in Texas. I've done them in North Carolina. I've done them in Tennessee, and I've done them in Virginia, and I'm located in Virginia. Even my Virginia was done over the phone. And it wasn't with a Zoom call. It wasn't with a Zoom, right? So I attribute that to the lack of annuity volume. I've got to get better over the phone, right? So, and the question that was posed was, what's the goalpost to hit Hall of Fame? All right, so the goalpost is 400,000 to hit Hall of Fame. And in previous years, it's always been a combination of life volume and annuity volume. And how they did that was, let's take a look at year 2021. I had $777,000 in annuities. 10% of that is credited to the life volume. So I had 401,000, right, in life. And then we add the other 77.7. I had 479. I just rounded it. It's 478 and change. I just rounded it up, right? So now this year, you have to hit Hall of Fame for life, you have to have 400,000 in life business and they've opened up the Hall of Fame for annuities, which is you need to sell 2 million in annuities to hit the Annuity Hall of Fame. And from what I understand, they're also going to have a third level, possibly, right, for Hall of Fame, like 3 different levels. I think that they're going to probably have combined, but we know 2 for sure: life and annuities. There may be a third. We don't know. I'm speculating at that point, so I'm just going to keep my mouth shut. So, and then in 2024, this is going to be my breakout year. This is my 5th year in business. Most businesses will fail sometime. I believe the stat, if I'm not mistaken, is about 98% of businesses fail, or 96% fail, 92% fail, somewhere around there. It's very high within their first 5 years. I am in business. I am still here, right? I'm not going anywhere, but to make sure of that, I need to get better. I'm strategizing. Like, what am I going to do now? Looking at these numbers, like you can't manage what you don't track, right? And hope is not a strategy. So when I look at these numbers, I'm like, all right, well, what can I decipher from this, right? I'm seeing the different percentages where my lead flow is going. I want to go ahead and utilize 100% of my license, right? So how am I going to make 2024 my breakout year? How are you going to make 2024 a breakout year by utilizing 100% of your license? Well, we started by saying, by educating ourselves about the client's needs, we opened the door to utilize 100% of our life insurance license to provide them the best solution. Let's finish that. If, and only if, we take the time to educate ourselves on those solutions. Now, a lot of people shy away from IULs and annuities, and I don't know why, because they're not advanced. That's why Sean Mike was like, these are simple, man. They're not advanced. People were shying away from them because they thought they were above their head, that they were advanced, right? They're really not. They're really simple solutions. And so the question that you need to ask yourself is, what could 2024 look like for your business if you utilize 100% of your license, right? That's the big question, right? Now, and Monica, and how you get paid on annuities is real simple. They do take longer, right? Annuities will pay anywhere from 30 days, and some have taken me 3 months to get paid on. Okay, because there is suitability that you have to pass, and things like that. But the resources that we have to learn these products, it doesn't take much to go ahead and learn Index Universal Life. It doesn't take much to learn about annuities. We've got a couple of different ways that we can go ahead and go about that. We can go to the first resource, I would say, and I don't believe that they changed the website for AMS, what was Advanced Marketed Sales, right? So that should be fflams.com, right? As a matter of fact, let me go ahead and type it in here and see if that's still accurate. The other way is to go to Athene. We got plenty of annuity companies out there, and I'm not advocating for any one particular carrier, right? I believe that although I'm licensed to provide annuities with several companies, I do provide annuities primarily through Athene. So you can go to the individual carriers, Athene, F&G, Americo has some as well, Transamerica. So there's a lot of annuity companies out there that you can go ahead and get brushed up on their products and what makes them different from other carriers. Like there's some other carriers that have better products than Athene, in niche products. So go to learn the basics of IULs, to learn the basics of annuities. Just take the time to educate yourself. We can see the benefit of how increasing our knowledge about the different products just based on my past 5 years, how it's helped my business. So if it's helped me, it's going to help you. It's going to help everybody. Just by educating, taking the time, maybe it's 20 minutes a day. Can you imagine if you spend 20 minutes a day while you're sitting down at lunch or whatever, before you start your day or you end your day, 20 minutes, 30 minutes on individual products like Index Universal Life? Well, how does that work, right? How do annuities work? What are the basics? And then you start learning about their individual products and how they can help your clients. Make no mistake, we can go to Google and you can type in, what's the number one concern, financial concern for all generations? If you type that in there, you're going to find out the majority of people have a lot of similar concerns, whether they're Gen X, Z, millennial, baby boomer, right? They all have the same concerns. As a matter of fact, let's go ahead and type it. Top financial concerns for all generations. It says, yes, there are a few things most people agree on, regardless of generation. Americans say the most valuable financial lesson learned is how to budget and track expenses, 53%, followed by having an emergency fund, 52%, avoiding excessive debt, 50%, and living below your means, 48%. Well, what does that mean? And how can it help my business? Well, if 53% are concerned about budgeting and tracking expenses, and 52% of folks see the need of having an emergency fund, how can the products that we have, that we offer, help provide that emergency fund? Well, let's see here. Keeping in mind, it's all based on what our clients qualify for, right? So our whole life, simplified issue whole life products do build cash value, although that's slow. It builds cash value slowly over time, but it does build cash value. However, an Index Universal Life policy, depending on how we fund it, are not only going to go ahead and take care of helping to establish an emergency fund while providing essential end-of-life needs to go ahead and cover financial or expenses upon death, right? And provide, all those questions that we've been asking, like what does it look like financially upon death, right? So not only can an IUL provide money for the burial, provide loss of income for the spouse, help provide for education expenses, right? To help leave a legacy, it can go ahead and accomplish two things. One, help those 52% of Americans establish an emergency fund. I tell my clients all the time, hey, if money gets tight, if you're like me, my money's on, I run a tight budget. It's a tight budget, man. And so if I had a transmission go out in the car, if the refrigerator goes out in the refrigerator there, I can always call up the company and do two things. I can take a loan against the policy and repay it back at a low interest rate, or I can just go ahead and take that cash out. It's my money. And oh, by the way, it's tax-free. So not only can it help establish an emergency fund, if funded properly, we can go ahead and help with the other concern that for all retirees, the number one concern for all retirees is running out of money, outliving their money. So now we can go ahead and help them establish a retirement fund if we do it right, but we're not going to do it with a $50 or $75 a month payment. I don't want to get it twisted. We have to go ahead and learn how to fund these properly. And this training is not on annuities and IULs. It's to go ahead and open your eyes to the possibilities of what learning about IULs, learning about annuities, and implementing that knowledge into our presentation and providing these, how they can go ahead and help our clients, thereby increasing our bottom line, increasing our ROI. Now we're a complete agent. We're not a one-trick pony. Like, are you selling 100% final expense? Are you selling 100% mortgage protection? Is that where you're generating all your leads? I don't know about y'all, but I want to know what my 2024 is. I'm figuring out my 2024 by dissecting where my lead flow is going. Like, I'm mixing it up now. I was 90% mortgage protection, 10% on final expense. The previous year I was 80-20. The previous year I was 70-30. Right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lessen the amount of money for mortgage protection and not necessarily increase my lead spend. I spend a lot of money. Don't get me wrong. I'm spending between $2,500 and $3,500 a week on leads. And so in evaluating my year, you have to understand what your ROI is. And I wasn't happy with that. I wasn't happy at all with my return on investment. So now that means I need to work my leads better, but also I'm going to diversify more into IULs. I'm not going to spend any money on annuity. Well, maybe I may diversify some money into some annuity leads. I know some good lead vendors, but I don't feel the need to do that. As long as I'm asking the golden question, what do you have that acts like life insurance? And the silver question, do you consider yourself a saver or a spender? Right? Saver or an investor. If someone says, oh, I'm an investor, right? And you say, oh, okay, so if you had $50,000 and you lost all of it, how would that make you feel? If they're like, ooh, I can't afford that, I'm going to tell them, hey, you're a saver. You're not an investor. We need to protect your money, right? Just by asking a couple of those questions, that's going to lead us into free money with annuities, 100% protect their principal, where they can go ahead and take part in the market gains, but they're free from downside loss. Their money is protected, right? Just by saying that, they're saying, oh, man, this guy's smart. No, I just stole it from somebody else, right? But just by saying a few smart things, people think you're smart. And then we can go ahead and utilize the SRS team or your upline, okay, to help teach you about annuities, to help you with Index Universal Life. You just don't charge into IULs and annuities. You have to educate yourself. But open up your eyes and try and ask yourself, what is my 2024 going to look like? A lot of people are like, oh, I'm going to hit Hall of Fame. Woohoo! I want you to. What does that look like? How are you going to get there? What's your roadmap? How are you going to utilize all of your license? By utilizing all of your license, I've already proved it from my track record that when you increase your knowledge base and you expand the products across all four quadrants, you're going to be okay. You're going to survive this business and you're going to make a lot of money, right? And it'll get better and better each year, typically. This year is a little flat for me, right? That's okay. Next year is going to be stellar. So this is really just an effort to go ahead and get y'all to open up your eyes and to say, all right, yeah, I've been thinking about it, but now I really need to implement it, because now's the perfect time for everyone to figure out what does 2024 look like if you already haven't done it. And if you already have done it, then take a look at it again and say, how can I make it even a little bit better just by increasing my knowledge base and selecting, not be quick to just go sell the final expense or mortgage protection. Let's ask better questions, because then I've opened up the door to utilizing all of my license. There's plenty of people that don't qualify for final expense, but I don't know, for whatever reason, they got a couple $100,000 laying around. It's happened. I'm like, what? Where'd you get that money? That's awesome. And then, but not being scared, saying, I remember my very first sale, my annuity sale. And I went on a Sunday. I didn't want to go on a Sunday. I didn't. I was like, okay, I'll go. And the guy was 80 years old. And there was a final expense lead. Remember back in 2019, 100% of my leads were final expense. And so I knock on the door. It took me an hour to get there, way out in Newport News. Had to go through the tunnel, this and that. And so anyways, I get there and I'm like, hey, George, I knew I was going to like the guy, right? He shows up and he's got, a Irish thing. I'm Irish. He's Irish. I'm like, okay, we're good to go. And I'm getting along with the guy, and like he still smoked. I'm like, he smoked like a chimney. Like you could cut through the air with a knife. The smoke was so thick. And I quit smoking a long time ago. I was afraid that I was going to go home. My wife was going to think that I started smoking. Right? That's how bad it was. So I'm sitting at the kitchen table and I look over and I see some paperwork from America on an annuity. And then I look over and there's another one. The guy's got 2 annuities. And I said, well, George, and I couldn't get him approved, or nothing made sense. And I said, well, George, I was like, what are these? He goes, oh, those things, they suck. I'm like, they what? He goes, yeah, they suck. They're annuities. They didn't, like, I'm not making any money on them, this and that. And I said, well, George, I can't do anything to go ahead and help you with the life insurance that makes sense. But what I can do, if you're interested, I can go ahead and show you how we can go ahead and turn those annuities and helping provide more legacy and get a better return on your money. Is that something you may be interested in? He goes, yeah. That was like $230,000 right there, my first annuity. That's how it happened. And then I came back and I worked with AMS. They helped me with the paperwork. And I closed my first one. I didn't use my upline. I was greedy. I didn't want to share it. I was like, all right, I'm going to figure this out. That's how my first one went down. And that's what opened my eyes. I'm like, boom, let's go. And that year I did 1.1. First year of selling annuities. So it works. Let's get into some Q&A. All right, what's the first step they should take to begin that roadmap to begin to being an annuity producer? Carrier required training. Yeah. So the first thing that we want to do, Sue, great question, by the way. You want to make sure that you're at least contracted with with Athene, right? Make sure that you're contracted with Athene. There's other companies, Americo, they have the products, F&G, Transamerica. There's some other companies that we have. So just take a look at the companies, make sure you're contracted with them, get with your upline and find out which carriers you need to go ahead and get contracted with. The next step that we want to go ahead and do is get product training. Okay, see you later. Get product training through the individual carriers, but I would start with AMS or on the FFL AMS website. Go ahead and watch those Annuities 101 and IUL 101 training. And then pick a company. I would start with Athene, man. They've got so much going on as far as awards for being the #1 company out there, providing these annuities, they've got great bonuses. Start with you've got to go get the training itself even before you do an application, right? Their Performance Elite series, take their product training, take the agility. There's some of the products on there I'm not licensed with. The ones that I am, Performance Elite and Agility. They also have AccuMax and something else. So PE, Performance Elite, and Agility is what I do the training on. And then with Index Universal Life, go ahead and start with the training from FFL AMS, and then go pick a carrier. Whether I would start with Mutual of Omaha, Ethos, their application is super, super simple. Super simple. 15 minutes front to back with an illustration. But you got to understand the basics. And you have to understand that even though you've learned this great new thing, you've got a shiny new toy, it's not the end all be all. I think IULs are great, but like I was listening to Sean Mike the other day, and on some of his social media training, and I've heard, he's absolutely right. I've heard a lot of people, and I've been guilty of this as well, where I'll say, hey, it's kind of like you're becoming your own bank, right? You're not really your own bank, right? That would be like infinite banking, this and that. You're not your own bank. You've got a life product that has the ability where you can go ahead and borrow money against it and repay it back at a lower rate. Kind of you are, but you're really not your own bank. You need to learn more about infinite banking. And that's something else that I haven't gotten into that may be something that you'd like to check out. And the SRS team has someone dedicated to that. But, I'm taking that out of my presentation. They're not their own bank. So just go ahead and learn about those products. Take it easy. Try and just at least do yourself a favor and start learning about it. Take 20 minutes a day or whatever to learn about these products and open up your mind to the possibilities of what if and how it can help my business and how I can help my clients. How I can help my clients it helps my business at the same time. So by being a better agent, if you can't find a final expense product that makes sense, mortgage protection, we got IULs, but it depends on what they qualify for. Don't get trapped. It's not an end all be all with these IULs and annuities, right? Especially IULs. I see a lot of people taking, they're doing really great presentations, but they haven't qualified to see if they will qualify for the product. Is that going to get issue paid? Let's not bang our chest and saying, hey, I'm doing all of these IUL submits. That's not doing the client any bit of good if we don't get them protected, if they don't qualify. The best product is one that they qualify for. If that happens to be an IUL, great. So you're going to need to get good. You're going to need to get great at underwriting. If you think you have an IUL client, get together with, text your upline in the middle of it, saying, hey, I've got this person. Do you think they're a candidate? Remember, IUL mirrors term. They don't qualify for term, they're not going to qualify for an IUL. Sorry. Okay, and then there's age limitations too. So just get familiar with your products. Anybody else have any other questions?
Hey, Shannon, I got a quick question for you. So after you do the golden question, silver question, in your presentation, do you ever use the term investment when you are going into an annuities presentation?
No, because they're not an investment. Remember, life insurance is not an investment.
Right.
Okay. And one thing I will say is this, Lena, like, I don't have a license to lose your money. I only have a license to protect it. I'm not an investment advisor. Life insurance is not an investment. Okay. But with this product, you can 100% guarantee that your principal is protected from future loss. And that's what you want, right?
Okay.
So when I follow it up with that question, that's a trial close. Because if someone says, well, I'm not making all the investment, I'm not getting all the percentage. No, you're not, but you're not taking any loss either. So when I say, but you're guaranteed not to lose any money, and that's what you want, right? That's a trial close. I'm boxing them in at that point. Yeah, I want my money protected. Now they need your product, but it's not an investment. You're not an investment advisor. I don't think, right? You may be.
No.
I don't know if you're a fiduciary. I don't know if you got your Series 67, 7, or whatever. I don't.
No.
I stay in my lane. Hey, Lena,
Yeah.
guess what? I don't have a license to lose your money. It's safe with this company, right? It's safe. Now, I noticed that there was a question in the chat as well. I hope that answered your question.
It does.
Monica,
I just tangled in that question from clients about, is it an investment? And I say no. So yeah, thank you for that.
Yeah, you're welcome. All right. So Monica asks, if you're at 100%, how much would you get paid on that annuity? That's going to vary. The 100% doesn't have a thing to do with how you're paid with annuities. Like if you go to on FFL AMS, right? I'm going to type it in right now so I can go ahead and guide you on it. FFL AMS, make sure you've created a profile, and then it says getting started guide, right? All kinds of great stuff. Now, when it goes, you want to scroll down to where it says annuity and IUL commission guides. Now, based on how many annuities you sold will dictate the commission that you're paid on the annuity, right? So far, I've almost done 4 million in annuities, but when I started as a new agent, depending on the product, let's go ahead and take a Performance Elite 10, right? That's one of the products from, here we go, from Athene. So then I just scroll on down to Athene. It's got Athene Agility, Max Rate, Performance Elite. Then it breaks it down by years. You got 7, 10, and 15. So I'm going to go ahead and pick the Performance Elite 10, and then it's based on age, Monica. And so let's say the client was 72 years old. From 0 to 70, all right, let's go ahead and take my first client, Mr. Boyle. I had to go with a Performance Elite 7 based on age, and he was 81. I thought I was 3 3/4 points, but this is when I learned about age. He was 81. I made 1.75%. Right? So it wasn't as much. And I invested a lot of time in it, but I learned about it. I learned the products, right? Now, but let's take a Performance Elite 10 at 72. Your starting rate is 4.75.
Are you looking at the screen? Can you share your screen?
Sure. That's a good point, Sue.
I was like, we don't know what you're looking at.
All right, let me share this. And you're asking me to do all this.
This is how you get good. You know that. Reps.
All right, there's my Zoom. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. All right. All right, so there's that. Here. I'll go. All right, here. All right. All right, so right here at age 81, Performance Elite 7. I made 1.75%. But you see 0 to 70, you can make 5.25. It just depends on the product and on the age. But now, if I go back to this, all right, then once you sell 100,000, you've got a bonus, right? So after my first one, my next one, I went to 100,000. And you get like a 1/4 point bump in pay. See, and it's got all of these products listed out: National Life Group, Legacy, Silac, Nassau, Athene, F&G, right? So now my next PE 10 for 72, I'm at 5.5%. That's a good bump. And remember, if I ran across another 81-year-old like Mr. Boyle, I would have gone from 1.75 to 2.5. Now, let's go back over a few years. All of this stuff adds up, man. You're just trudging along. You hit 2 million, right? I'm almost at 5. One more, like 1.1 more million. I'm there at 5. So right now I'm at 2. And with Athene, the 81-year-old guy, I'm now making 3.25%. But this is where the money is on the 10, Athene Agility 10. I'm making 6.25. And then on their Performance Elite products, you know, my max commission is 6.75, right? So it just depends on the product, Monica. But I'm really looking, all right, so let's take a look on my max for Performance Elite 10, 6.75. When I hit my bonus next year, when I hit that $5 million mark, which is a big deal. To me, it is anyways. Performance, I'm getting a 1/4 point bump. I'm going to be at 7%. And so I'm looking forward to that, but it just depends. But you have to start somewhere, just like on our final, you know, on our contract levels, based on performance, right? We just you want to get a pay raise, start selling more, right? That's it. Anybody else got any questions? Oh, here. Let's do
Shannon,
this.
I have a question.
Sure.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for doing this. This is wonderful.
Sure.
But
Well,
Shannon, I do have a question. I messed up on thinking that someone's gonna get approved for an IUL. And I you know, I kind of like selled it up instead of finding out if she was going to be approved. And I know you were
Right.
talking about this before.
yeah.
So now I'm like, I called Forrester to see if they would be approved. They advised that I would do full underwriting
Okay.
application. So I think what the trouble was, she had a bariatric surgery.
Bariatric.
Yeah, I don't know how to say bariatric. I'm sorry, my tongue tied. Bariatric
Bariatric.
surgery. So I think that's why she got denied with Mutual of Omaha.
Okay. And so Forrester has recommended a fully underwritten policy, right?
Right.
Okay.
They said about a tier. I think they said a tier 3 or something like that.
Okay. And your question?
So my question is, I know the fully underwriting application will be a lot longer.
Yeah.
It's going to require her to go get some blood work and all that done, right?
Yeah.
Is it worth the trouble to go through all that? If there's a possibility of being denied.
Well, yeah, this is what I would do. Okay. All right. Does she have any insurance now?
She has a term policy.
How much?
It's 150,000.
Okay. All right. So she's in a good spot. All right. So if she were to die, she's got $150,000. If she didn't have any insurance, this is how I would handle it. Okay.
Mhm.
I would say, Myra, right now, you don't have any insurance. We have an option, but I know that I can get you approved. One of the things that you liked most about the index universal life policy is that it gains cash value, right?
Mhm.
All right. You say yes to that. And I always say, so what we can do, I can get you approved for a policy that will build whole life or build cash value now, today.
Mhm.
We can go, I know I can get you, let's go ahead and get you started on that. But we have an opportunity of maybe a slight chance of getting you approved for the index universal life. So let's go ahead and put in, after we get this wrapped up, we're going to put in another application to see if we can get you approved for that index universal life policy. If we get you approved, we'll cancel this other one. Okay. But not until we know that you're going to be approved for the index universal life. This way, God forbid, if anything were to happen to you, you have something in place to take care of your burial at least, and your family's not financially burdened. Does that make sense? Yes. All right. So then you take care of that, and then you do the application. Since she's already got the application, she's already got life insurance, I'm going to say, hey, Myra, you've already got the life insurance. We have a possibility of getting you approved if we go ahead and do a fully underwritten policy. Kind of like when you go for an exam, a physical with your doctor, they're going to come out to your house and draw blood and urine. This is going to give us our highest chance of getting approved. So yes, it does matter. Yes, I would take the chance. If that's what Forrester said, then that's what I would do to go ahead and put your client in the best possible position.
Okay.
It makes sense, right?
Does it have to be does she have to have like a clearance of like 6 months or to a year from her having that surgery?
But it depends on, I would go by the carrier recommendations.
It's a
With the
minimum a
risk
year,
assessment,
Shannon.
like 1 year is typical for that.
Sometimes two.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
And they also take into consideration your weight loss.
Right.
They
Yes,
also add 50% of that back. So bariatric surgery, you have to be really careful with clients because it can be an issue.
okay. That's great. Thank you.
All right. One of the things I want to cover this real quick, and then we're going to go ahead and cut it loose, right? Unless we have another quick question. All right. This is fflams.com. Now, right through here, it says getting started, right? When you sign on, you're going to have to create an account. Right here, you can get free insurance drip accounts. Recommended videos, Annuities 101, Why We Sell FIAs, Annuity in-home presentation, IUL, in-home presentation. But I would definitely watch Annuities 101. If you're doing this by phone, like the training that we have now on Fridays with TNL, and Frankie Femia, he's doing like every other Friday something with annuities and IULs, right? So there's going to be a big push on that, making sure that everyone understands how simple it is, because trust me, it is very simple. But I would watch these. You can get, I don't do brochures. I've never gotten them. They can do application review. You can click there. Lauren Jackson is a great resource. She's helped me out tremendously. There's training videos, carrier resources, additional resources, and this is the big one. I love this one. How much money we make, all right? So that's a huge resource that I would definitely take advantage of. And for those of you that have always been saying, I'm going to get around to it. I'm going to do it. And then you get caught up in your day. The only way that stuff like this happens is when you make time for it and you commit to it. Right. I would say it's definitely worth your while to invest some time to become a quintessential professional and utilize all facets of your license by taking 20, 30 minutes a day, every other day, whatever that looks like for you. Learn, right? And then hop on some training, with these other top producers that are, in the telesales workshop, whatever, or TNL, the podcast, right? On all these people that are winning out there. And because you can get tips and strategies from them. Also, that's what I did. Anybody else have a quick question? No, we're good. All right. Sue has put in some IUL comp guides in the chat, some annuity comps in the chat as well, but you can also get them from where we just talked about. So, guys, in conclusion, I would say that by educating yourself on these products, taking the time to figure out what your 2024 is going to look like, what you would like to do, right? Whatever you're good at, get good at something else too. Don't completely switch it up, but say, all right, I want 10% of my business from IULs. I want 10% of my business from annuities, but don't be afraid. All of this stuff is simple, right? If we just take the time to educate ourselves, ask the right questions, which we've been training about for our clients, build value in ourselves and the products that we provide, then we're going to open up the door. By educating ourselves on our clients' needs, we open up the door to 100% of our license. And you can go ahead and definitely see an uptick. You could probably double your business. I did from 2019 to 2020. I more than doubled my business just by opening up IULs and annuities and mortgage protection. What does that look like for you? What have you issue paid so far this year? Who wouldn't want to double their business? I know I want to double mine. Do you want to double yours? Okay, if you're good where you're at, cool. But I don't think you are because you're here today. You're here today learning, and I commend you guys for everyone being on here to learn. So kudos to you guys. All right, thank you so much. I appreciate you. We'll see you next week.
Thanks, Shannon.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Shannon.
You're welcome.
Training.